Welcome everyone. This is Coaching in Session and my name is Michael Rearden and I will be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be talking about health and fitness and life coaching. And today we're going to be having on a guest, Shaban. Shaban is going to be a coach helping people get into a better mindset, but not only just the mindset alone. How can we start to get into the body that we're supposed to be having? How can we start to turn our limiting beliefs around that we have been told? From doctors saying that we can't do something because of an injury, all the way to ourselves saying that we don't have time in our day. We all have time to make something possible in our life. If you're having a difficult time trying to figure things out, well, what do we need to do in order to get to that point? Well, we might have to figure out our step one. Step one is going to be identifying what we want to accomplish, what is our journey, and then how we're going to proceed on that journey. And the journey we're going to be going on today with Sherry is going to be one for you to understand too, because you might be exactly where we talk about. And if you are, you're going to find the things we talk about, the tips and the tricks, all of those are going to be exactly in line with helping you get to the body and the life and the wellness that you deserve and the wellness that you want. So let's get into that interview with Sherry and myself. Welcome, Shaban, to Coaching in Session. How are you doing today?
I'm really well. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Oh, of course. And I have you on today as a fitness coach and life coach. I know those names can be just kind of like a generalization of what we really do in our life. You do so much more, from your podcast to the fitness app that you have coming up to some of the amazing programs that you're going to be doing that helping people get back into a better shape, better mind. I mean, I could talk about all the work you do all day long, but in your own words, can you please tell the world who you are, what you do, and how you help?
Oh, thank you so much for this intro. So the way that I see it is I help support people along their journey to embrace their health identity, their athletic identity specifically, to become who they are always meant to be. Actually, my background comes from a place of injury. When I was 16, I was hit by a car. I was a child athlete and I damaged my spine through that accident. I've had surgery on my back twice and for many years listened to the advice of doctors who said I should not exercise anymore. I should not do many of the activities that I loved doing. Following that advice, that's when I actually saw the most back pain. I was on pain medication and relied on it to be able to get through my day. And it wasn't until I decided to wake up one day realizing this is not who I am. I had started habits that were not serving me, habits that were not really aligned with that athletic identity. And I decided this is not me. I could not recognize myself. And I decided to walk into the gym. This was, I think, the first time in my life I was in a gym setting. Before that, I was always playing team sports or individual sports. I was a swimmer as a child. And I just started copying everybody around me. I just started doing what I saw. And eventually my back pain was gone. I was able to come off of pain medication. And that was really opening the door wide open to what my purpose was and what I was really here for. Because at that time, Rearden, I was studying biochemistry and I was doing my master's degree in chemistry at McGill University. And I dropped that and decided I need to start over. I need to learn everything there is about injury management, about the human body, about nutrition. I just became absolutely obsessed to help people, because if I could do this, if I've had surgery on my back, if I wasn't allowed to do any of these things, if I was close to paralysis and was able to overcome this, then I have to help people do the same thing. And so I believe we all have a struggle. We struggle with weight, we struggle with limiting beliefs, we struggle with injury, we struggle with a particular condition we have. But when we desire to not conform with who we are, not to take on that identity of that person who is a victim of their circumstance, but instead to empower themselves, to empower ourselves with this mindset that anything is possible. And it's all going to start with one small habit that will slowly start to stack until we become who we're always meant to be. And that essentially is the message I want to share with the world. I don't believe in punishing ourselves through diet and exercise, but instead stepping into that lifestyle so that it becomes a part of who you are. We don't hate ourselves through what we eat or punish ourselves through how hard we want to train, because the goal is to release weight, but essentially to become that person where it's just is a part of your day-to-day life. And you become that role model to all those around you that you love the most.
Yeah, I love that mindset, because when you were 16 and you had that accident, you had an option. You had an option to just do what the doctors say, it's just take it easy, or to show up. And you decided to show up. And that's so powerful, because I think people become victims of their circumstances. And we have to make sure that we can't allow the world to push us any which way we want. We only have one life. So we have to make sure we live it to the fullest every single day. And I talk about this story all the time. It's my favorite story about Peaceful Warrior with Dan Millman. If you're familiar with him, he is a Olympic gold medalist. He was in a motorcycle accident. He like fractured his leg, and the doctor said that he would never be able to do, Olympics again or like be a gymnast again. So he went through a state of depression for some time, and he was trying to find his purpose, but he found like a mentor, a coach, a guide that told him, saying, well, why don't you go after your dream? If this is your dream, let's go for it. And even though it was very difficult for him because there was a lot of pain, there was a lot of uncertainty, and there's a lot of roadblocks in his way because his coach wasn't going to support him, because the doctors were saying, don't let him do it, because he's a very stubborn person. And he was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And luckily, he didn't stop because of a doctor's order. So many people are going to stop when they hear that doctor saying, well, you're lucky to be alive, or you are lucky you're going to be able to walk the same way you used to, right? At least you can get some semblance of a normal life again. What if we want extraordinary, right? We need to challenge what anyone else says, right? Those limiting beliefs are going to be given to us from our teachers, from our parents, from the doctors that are healing us. Are they really healing us, or are they stopping us? What was going through your mind when you were 16 and the doctors were maybe telling you to take it easy?
It was really the end of the world for me. And, at that time I was a competitive swimmer. I was involved in all varsity sports. I was, always ranking first place, second place. That was just who I always knew myself to be. Even growing up as a kid in elementary school, I would compete against the boys. I wanted to always out push up them and outrun them. And then here I am being told at such a young age that, well, you should stop exercising. You should definitely stop doing all the activities that you're doing. Absolutely no more volleyball. It was volleyball season at that time. I think it'll just be light walking on a treadmill going forward. And should you ever become pregnant one day, then we don't know what the complications are, because you have certain levels of the discs that are still sort of, let's say, under risk of also herniating and compressing the nerves. And so it was devastating, and I couldn't find myself. And I think that loss of identity is really what makes us search for something else. We have this need for significance. And obviously I got my significance, my knowing of who I am, from what I was doing. And then all of a sudden that was taken away from me. And now it's, well, who am I without sports? Like, who am I without being in basketball season this year? And who am I without being in the varsity sports and being Sherry the athlete? And so that's when I started to look for another source of significance, of just being seen and being just, understood. And so, of course, I found a different social environment that did a lot of habits that my parents would never approve of. And that's where I found my source of significance. But initially, I listened to what the doctors said. And there was always this knowing, though, inside of me that I didn't want to accept it. Like, there was something about it that just did not seem right. And so that's sort of, I think, what led me down that path of curiosity of what would happen if I just tried. And then, of course, just listening to the body a little bit more and picking up the signs of pain, noticing when I did certain movements or certain activities, whether or not that would provoke more pain. And so it just kind of became this massive learning experiment, and until I found that sweet spot where I know how much I can push and I know when I'm supposed to back off, and every single day looks different. Up until today, I've pretty much been pain-free for so many years that I almost forget that I even have a back quote unquote problem. I've learned to manage it. I've learned to listen to my body, and I've learned to pick up cues that I had to do because the ego would always push me to do more or to want to do more, especially once I start to see more results. And so, yeah, it's been a massive journey and still continues to be.
Yeah, it's about that journey though. And I think sometimes people see the long journey and they say, it's too scary, it's too much work. They might look in the mirror and they say, okay, well, I got this big beer belly, or I got these, these love handles, or my thighs are a little bit too thick. How long is that going to take me? It might take them a very long time. Some people don't want to do it the long way, so they do it the quick way. So they get a surgery, bypass, something along those lines. I don't recommend those. I always recommend you're going to get so much more from doing it yourself, and it's just better for the body. For me, got hurt when I was doing like a marathon, and I was like maybe like 21 or something. And I'm a very stubborn person also. So I was like, I'm still going to do this marathon, and there's nothing stopping me. I'm training for it. I'm going to do it. Mistake number one. So I really hurt myself. So at that point, I started to develop sciatica issues. And then I was like, man, this sucks. And I'm early 20s, and I'm thinking, is this life, right? Is this life? I'm literally having to take Advil every single morning just to go to work. And I'm literally just hopping down the hallway, just like, okay, I need to do something. And so I found Bikram yoga, just movement. So from when I was 16, I was weightlifting from high school all the way to college, and I still weightlift today. The Bikram yoga, the yoga aspect of the just movement, being flexible, allowing my spine to do what it needed to do to heal was so empowering for me because I thought I was going to be bedridden. And it was just some days when I just like didn't want to get up because there was just so much pain. But then I started to see if I don't move, it's more pain. But if I move, I start to alleviate the pain. And I think some people are just in that pain and they think if they take some movements, they're going to hurt themselves. I find if you do the right movements, you're going to be in a better place. Now, I think for the majority of people, they don't know how to work out or they don't know how to move. For you, you said when you're going to the gym, you started to look at people, you started to see what were they doing, right? We need that help. I know for me, when I see someone who's new in the gym, if they're doing something that's going to hurt them, I always go up to them. I know they don't like it. I just say, hey, I don't want you to hurt yourself. Maybe do this instead. That's all I say. And then I walk away. And if they want to utilize that information I gave them, good for them. I mean, if I was that age and someone told that to me, I would listen. So I'm just telling myself like, okay, if I was that age or if I was someone who was new to the gym and I saw someone doing something that's going to really hurt them, what would I do? And I was like, I would rather someone talk to me so I don't hurt myself because I've hurt myself. We need some guidance sometimes. And I think people are afraid or maybe they feel a little bad because they don't know how to work out. So they're like, well, I don't even know how to work out. Where do I begin? What's your process for helping someone get into the habit of asking and where you begin with a new client?
Yeah, generally when I take on a client, this is if I'm doing one-on-one coaching, there's a process, just I think interview, and it kind of goes back and forth and to see if we are both a right fit for each other. And the first thing I'll say is I'm anti-diet, which means you're not going to see me for a meal plan. That's something I used to do 20 years ago, write out a meal plan for people. And I've come to realize that writing out a meal plan or having even a weight training program is a very, very small piece of the puzzle. And oftentimes, what most people are struggling with is the accountability, is the discipline around doing this. And that has a lot to do with desire, their why they want to do this, and make sure that it's more powerful enough than just to look good in a bathing suit. And then also the confidence, just the identity around it, because most people have this negative self-talk of, I can't, I won't be able to, I've tried so many times and it doesn't work. And when that exists, then it's impossible to step into that place of transformation. So the other thing I also check for is if they are coachable. And one thing I always ask from my clients, if we're going to work together one-on-one, then you can never say the words, I know. Kind of coming back to what you were saying earlier about being an excellent student, right? Being in the gym and being open to receiving somebody coming up to you and saying, hey, there's a better way to do this that won't hurt you. So the way that I live my life is I'm always in the shoes of a student. As a coach, even though I've been doing this for over 20 years, I'm still a student. I'm open to hearing something else. I'm open to challenging what I already know. And the issue with us wanting to create that transformation around the health and fitness is not the lack of information. Actually, that information is everywhere. I even have a YouTube channel that's full of free workouts if anybody wants to follow it. People aren't necessarily coming to work with me because they're looking for exercises or they're looking for a way to eat, but instead it's around stepping into that athletic identity, around releasing a lot of limiting beliefs that we have, around understanding how to habit stack and how to start breaking things up so that it doesn't feel like it's so overwhelming. That person who's just starting off training or around even focusing on their self-care has to kind of break it up in a way where it's palatable. It's one bite at a time. And when we're looking at releasing 100 pounds and reversing type 2 diabetes and all of these other health conditions, it really starts with very, very simple habits. And I like to apply the rule of addition first before subtraction. So before we start removing things, how about we start adding positive serving habits? And after a while, after we become comfortable with that, move on to the next thing. But I think you know, and I think most of us know at this point, that diets don't work. Diets don't work because we already put it in our mind that there is a deadline. There's an end date to this, and there's a massive restriction here. And so I help people going from I can't to I don't. So instead of showing up at a party and saying, I can't have cake, I can't have alcohol today, I can't have this and that today, instead we get to a place where we can say, I don't drink, I don't want cake today, and I don't do drugs, right? And so when you come to that place where it becomes such an identity, such a statement of who you are, such a certainty around what you do and don't do. That is where the transformation is. And essentially, that's what I help people come to that place. My goal is for somebody to be able to be independent long term. I don't want people to rely on me to help them serve themselves, but instead, I want to show them the tools and I want to help them become that person who now knows exactly what they do and don't do, and it serves them. They're listening to their body, they're cued in on what is the best for them, and it doesn't oftentimes look like perhaps what other people are doing around them.
The identity that we give ourselves is going to be one of those things. It's like it could be our best friends or it could be an enemy. And I find that people give themselves an enemy in the beginning, and then they have to learn how to conform that to a best friend, because we look at the I can't and I don't in a negative fashion, more so in the sense of I know I can, but I don't want to because I'm bigger than that. People think about self-care is a big one right now. It's like, well, I had such a stressful day at work. I mean, I just need some self-care bear. I just need some self-care cake. This is what I need right now to make me feel better. Like, I need this. So we get into that want, that desire, right? The brain is just saying what we need rather than going to the gym and getting a good workout. And I can guarantee you, if you're in a bad place or like you're stressed out or if you're just in a bad mood, you go to the gym and you get a good workout in, at the end of it, you're going to feel amazing. Versus if you just go and get that cake, right, you're going to feel like self-loathing. You're like, oh man, I feel terrible. I feel disgusting. It's like a never ending spiral that we know we're putting ourselves in. We just have to say, you know what? Let's step back. Let's start to do other things that are going to be more beneficial for me. Working out is one of the things that is readily available, especially in our world today. They can go to YouTube, check out your channel. They can go on Google, type in fitness workouts or routines or what to do in order to get in shape. There's just so much resources out there, but there's so many distractions also. So people are going to find an excuse for not doing what they're supposed to be doing. The biggest excuse that people give themselves when it comes to working out or just moving more, I don't have any time.
Right.
I don't have any time.
Mhm.
Sherry, I tried. I was just so busy at work, and I got home and I had to take care of the dog, and then the kids are running around. I just didn't have any time. What do you say to people who say that they don't have any time?
Well, whenever we say the words, I don't have time, what we are really saying is, this is not my priority. And so I just help people reframe that because we make time for everything we find a priority, everything that we find important to us. And, I'm a mom. I have two girls, 14 and almost 13. And let me tell you, no matter what is going on in my day, I will make the time. It doesn't matter how booked I am all day long. If something happens and they need me, suddenly I find that time. I will drop everything for it. And so it just shows us when we say those words, I don't have time, or when we say the words, actually, it's too expensive, then what we're really saying is, I don't value it and I'm not making it a priority in my schedule. And I say the word expensive because that's normally the second thing that I'll hear, and only for the reason that we have this tendency in our society to feel that self-sacrifice is love. So oftentimes as a parent or as a person who really has a lot of people around them who they love, you'll notice that it's so easy to do something for someone you love than to do it for yourself. So easy to spend $1,000 a month on gymnastics, which is what I do for my girls, than to think about spending that amount of money on my own self-care. And so as a parent, that is a no-brainer. We will prioritize the kids in terms of time, in terms of what we'll invest in them. And at the end of the day, we're not spending money on ourselves. We're actually investing in ourselves. Everything is an investment. Whether I am choosing to buy organic food, whether I am choosing to buy more vegetables, which are way more expensive these days because of the price of inflation, or I'm choosing certain things that serve me, ultimately, everything I'm doing is an investment, including that one workout that I did, including that 10-minute walk that I did, including reducing that 1 teaspoon of sugar in my coffee. Every little tiny thing is an investment. And so I just challenge my athletes, as I call them, not my clients, I call them athletes because being an athlete is more of a mindset. I challenge them every single time they say the word, I don't have time, or when it comes to their self-care, it's too expensive. I just challenge them to ask themselves, is it because I don't see value? Is it not a priority for me? And the moment we start to ask ourselves that and just reframe the question, we get the answers. And oftentimes it is because we don't see the value in investing in ourselves ultimately.
I know this is not about fitness, but like in my relationship, we're not allowed to say that we're busy to each other. So
Right.
if I say, "Oh, I'm busy, I can't do this," then it's just like I'm not prioritizing the relationship. I'm not prioritizing you. So we just don't use the word busy. It's like, okay, I'll figure it out, right? I mean, it's going to be hard some days, but some days are going to be like, okay, not a problem, right? You acclimate to certain things, right? And we acclimate to going to the gym, or we create that habit of going to the gym. So in the beginning, it might be very difficult to create that time, but then it just becomes a routine, right? We wake up in the morning, you go to the gym. Or if you like to go to the gym in the evenings, after work, you're not going to go home. You're just going to go straight to the gym. Sometimes you might have to go home, walk the dog, take care of the kids. Then you can sneak out, go to the gym. Depending on your schedule, as long as you follow that schedule and you just don't allow a lapse. What happens with New Year's resolutions typically is that people start really strong, but then they allow a small lapse, right? So they might go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Oh, it's so busy this week. I'm just going to go to the gym Monday. And then the next week they say, well, I'm just going to go Monday again. Before you know it, they're not going to the gym at all. It's because they had that lapse and they didn't make it a priority. You should say, well, if I'm going to the gym Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, what do I have to do to make sure I make it every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday? And then if I miss a Friday, for example, I'm going on Saturday. So we still go 3 times a week. It's just that it might not be on Friday because life can happen. I'm not here to say that life doesn't happen. Bad things happen all the time, but it doesn't mean that, again, we have to allow the circumstances to push us around. So if a Friday is not working out for you, you have meetings, maybe you're just not feeling right, whatever it is, you need to take a break, prioritize your health, but then understand, get back on. I have a rule when it goes to fitness in the gym. If I'm sick, I don't go to the gym. Number one, I don't want to get people sick. Number two, I know what's more important for me. Me getting better is actually better for me than going to the gym that 1 day or 2 days or 3 days, whatever it is. So I prioritize my health. And you said something very important, that we will prioritize others, especially parents. They will prioritize other people. They will empty their cup, not worry about their cup until it's empty. And then they wonder, it's like, oh, I feel drained. I feel stressed. I feel empty, because we are just giving, 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 giving. And we do have to understand that we have to give something to ourselves too. So when you have an opportunity to invest in yourself, to make yourself a priority, do it. Don't just say, well, I don't have time. That's just an excuse that the brain gives itself. So it's not making yourself a priority, and it's not giving what it truly wants. And that's the value of fitness, of health, of life. And people just have all these pains and they just associate it with age. Oh, I'm 30 now. My back hurts a little bit. It's supposed to be this way. Oh, I'm 50 now. Like every time it's bad weather, like my joints hurt. It's supposed to be this way. I know people who are in their 70s in the gym, killing it, right? Better than me. And I'm like, man, I want to be there. How do I do that? It's mindset. It's what they give themselves every single day. I'm going to show up every single day. And it's important we give themselves that. And there's so many tools and resources that we have to help us get there, whether it be an app reminding us, saying, hey, have you worked out? Here's a new workout to try, right? So we give ourselves new and thought-invoking activities that we can do, because some people, they fall into a slum, is what I'm going to call it, where they start going to the gym. Oh, I like this, I like this, I like this. And then it's kind of like, this is kind of boring. How do you spice it up when someone has been going to the gym for so long and now they're just trying to figure out, all right, I need something new, otherwise I'm going to stop?
Yeah, such a great question. And, it's interesting. I was actually in the CrossFit world. I used to own 2 CrossFit gyms pre-pandemic. And so what CrossFit has taught me is really the importance of variety. And so it's super important that when we're looking at our body, we want to look at the different skills of fitness that we can generate. I remember you mentioned something around starting yoga, and it gave you stability. You worked on your flexibility, you worked on other aspects of your fitness. And so variety to me is extremely important. And so that would mean that even going outside, going for a walk offers variety, or cycling or trying different sports offers variety. But when we don't have variety, not only does it create boredom, but it also creates stagnation. We don't start to see the results, or we see that we're starting to plateau. And so for anybody who's looking really to look at fitness in a long-term sort of fashion, and it be a lifelong journey, I'll always recommend to try different things, especially as we age. Perhaps now we're going to start to notice that maybe lifting that same weight doesn't feel the same. I'm 42, by the way, and I'll tell you, I started training really, really regimentally 4 years ago or so, when I first walked into the gym. And I've noticed how my body can handle certain things. And so just by starting again to listen to the cues and really trying to think of the body as this machine that requires so many different ways of challenging it makes exercise more fun in general, especially being outside. There's this thing that we get from being outside, this absolute illumination, this radiation, this energy that we can't really get from being in the gym. And so by even going outside and just connecting with nature, going for a walk, going for a trail run, cycling, and just changing it up a little bit will always keep that gym routine fun, because we are creatures of change. We always want to change. We always want to adapt. Variety is one of our human needs. And when we don't feed ourselves that variety, that's where we start getting bored. And more importantly, we get frustrated because we don't see the results that we want.
And first of all, you're not a day over 30, all right? So you're just lying to everyone. You're not 42, all right? So people who go to YouTube, they're going to say, well, she's not 42, right? You're 30, all right? So just have that type of mindset. But
Thank
you
you
look
so much.
great.
I'm so proud of my age, though, Rearden. I have to tell you this. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I
Go,
have
no,
to
do
tell
it.
you, when I was training people, I was in my early 20s. And I remember I would tell my clients, tips around nutrition or tips around certain types of exercise. And they would always respond back with, yeah, but you haven't had kids yet. Yeah, but you're not even 30 yet. Like, what would you know about hormones? And now at 42, I feel way more credible to say, hey, you know what? This type of exercise is going to serve you the best, or maybe try eating this instead of that. And I find it just comes from a better place of authority. And similar to you, actually, I really admire people in their 60s and 70s that are still doing it. Actually, those are the people that I choose to follow on Instagram. I choose to follow people who are older than me, who are doing things that I want to do, because that's where I want to go. Instead of looking at people, and it's great, by the way, they're doing really cool stuff, these people in their 20s. It's really awesome, but that's going backwards for me. And so for me to feel super excited about aging and just embracing it and being so incredibly grateful for every single day that I have, that I'm able to use this body, that really helps when you have role models who are decades older than you that are still doing those things. So just wanted to add that.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I agree with that. We have to look at knowledge and wisdom, I believe, because sometimes people can look at you and they can say, oh, you're too young. You don't know how it feels to be me because you're not my age yet. But you can have worked with clients, or you follow people who have already reached that age or maybe even surpassed that age. So you are well aware of what is capable. Sometimes people, again, they give themselves that limiting belief, they give themselves that doubt, and they'll find any excuse they can to say, well, all right, I don't have to show up for this person. You have to show up for yourself. Even if you're not going to show up for a coach or trainer, show up for yourself. Do yourself that favor, because you only have one body. You have to do the best you can with it. I know people wait until their body starts to break down before they say, uh-oh, starting to break down. I think I need to go figure this out, right? They go see a doctor, they go see a nutritionist, they go see a fitness trainer to get back in order, when they just have to make small changes today. Walking around, going outside, adding a little bit more movement, doing some yoga, starting small, and then you can add up to the big things. You might say, okay, I have a goal to run a 10K. That's a great goal, but let's figure out where we start before we do that 10K. If you want to be like in a bodybuilding competition, let's start small and let's build our way up to that. Don't just say, okay, I'm going to go in a bodybuilding competition and you get hurt. We want to mitigate that, right? The goal for fitness is not to get hurt or to do things that are going to hurt you. You want to feel good when you leave the gym. Yeah, you might feel a little sore the day after. And I know for a lot of people who are out of shape and they're getting into shape, they're going to feel it for the first couple of months. They're just going to be like, oh, I can't even get up out of bed. And let me tell you, that is the sweetest feeling. I don't really get it as much anymore because I do it so much. It's kind of like numb, even though I might feel a little sore. It's like passive, like the brain just ignores it almost. I really have to pay attention. Like, is my body numb today from that workout or, running or swimming? I have to really pay attention. But for people who it's a new feeling to, it's like right there. And
Right.
it's scary for them, I think, because it's like, should I feel this way? And I always say pain is weakness releasing from the body. But sometimes you have to understand that pain can be an indicator too. So you're
Mm-hmm.
not trying to do things and get hurt. You're like, oh, like this hurts. And then you're doing it. It's like, oh, pain is weakness, really, like getting it out of my body. Don't do that, right? Figure out what you need. And of course, you need proper guidance. And there's going to be so many tools and resources. And I know you have an app. Can you share with us that app that's coming out and what that app does? So if people are interested, they can, of course, go to the app and then start to begin their fitness journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to add on a little comment about that pain, because I couldn't agree more. And the way that I like to look at pain, especially as I'm training, is I divide pain up into either real pain or fake pain. And fake pain is what I feel while I'm doing that exercise. Oh man, my legs are burning. My God, my chest, I feel my triceps. And so that's the fake pain. Because the moment I stop that activity, it goes away. Or I'm walking and I get a cramp. And the moment I stop walking, it goes away. But the real pain is always there. The real pain is what keeps me up at night. The real pain is what makes me feel like I need to take some Tylenol for it. And the real pain is something that is really interfering with my day and my mood and even just being able to serve others. So I hope that that resonates with anybody listening to distinguish that. And anytime I feel fake pain, then I just know that I just have to now bring in the mindset and just push through it. So the app is called HitDex. It's out at the end of this month in the beta format. And essentially, it's going to keep training fun and varied all the time. So there are kind of games that you play inside this app. It does track your nutrition. It does track your progress. And it does track a lot of things that you want to essentially create, any goals that you set for yourself. However, it always keeps the workouts varied. So there is a section where you play the deck of cards, where it'll bring you up different exercises and just randomize workouts. And then there's another section as well where you can type in the body parts that you want to train, the equipment that you have, and then the app will create for you a program for that day. And just coming back to what we were talking about, variety and how important it is just to keep it fun, just to keep it exciting, to really make sure that you're also constantly getting results and you're constantly tricking the body in different ways and moving and working the body in different ways to continue to see results. And it's all around the philosophy of working minimum 20 minutes. And that's really my style of training anyways. On the YouTube channel, it's 6 to 12 minute workouts, and that's more than enough in that HIIT style to get the results that you want. And so the app will develop those types of workouts for you in under 20 minutes and guaranteed to get results, just as long as you establish that consistency, which is essentially what is always needed to drive the results.
I'm definitely going to be sending people to your YouTube channel
Awesome.
and also recommending the app, because we do have to start there, right? 6 to 10 minutes, just start there. And then you can build your way up to 15 minutes, 25 minutes, 30, 40, whatever time limit you want. I remember when I first started working out, I was in the gym like, I think, an hour and a half, like every single day. And this is because I was just like young and I was like nothing else for me to do. I'm just like
Yeah, I
18.
remember.
So just like I'm in the gym all day long, and I would go to the gym 2 times a day. So I would do my like weightlifting in the morning, and then in the evening I'll run and do cardio and then abs and stuff like that. That was a lot of fun for me. But now it's a lot more difficult because got a family, got a career. It's like, where do I find the time? So before the day starts, I get my workout in. And if I have time in the evening to go for a walk around the park, things like that, I can do that with the family. But I can't just say, okay, I'm going to go to the gym and, hit up a treadmill for 30 minutes or whatever it is. You have to adjust. The variety is going to happen. And I love the aspect of there is variety in the app. You just say, I want to work out some legs, want to work out some arms, and boom, voila, you have something right there. And it's always going to be, well, what am I going to get today? And I think people are going to love that aspect of that app, because they don't know what they're going to get. So it's like a little bit of mystery, and they have to commit to that too. So I don't know how quick it is to get the results, but like maybe they're in the car right outside the gym and they say, okay, I want to work out these body parts, and they're going to get it. Because maybe if they're home on the sofa, let's see what I have to work out today. Oh, no, I don't like that
Right.
exercise.
Right.
So there's always going to be something that's going to detract you, but you have to figure out the alternative or a way to counteract your mindset or your bad habits, or I guess you can say your thought process. Because if you think like, okay, it's going to be more fun to sit on the sofa than to go in the gym and getting a workout, you haven't really worked out. I always tell people, you might not feel like working out, but after you're done working out, you always say, I'm so glad I did that. You are going to be glad that you decided to get your health back on track. If you're in a bad place right now, understand that you can change it. There's no end of the road for anyone. You can be 70, 80, 90 years old, still killing it. And there are people who are killing it every single day. And you have to make sure that you figure out what you need in order to kill it. Sherry, you and I could probably talk all day about fitness and health and wellness and all that, but can you please share with us any last words and then tell the audience where they can find you?
Oh, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this conversation as well. And I also feel like we could just keep going. Just maybe one comment around what you were just sharing. And it is so completely normal to feel overwhelmed. And I want to share that this is something that we all share. Whenever we're starting something new, even though we are in that position and we're ready to change, it seems so overwhelming because the mind loves certainty. Even though I know that I don't feel good, even though I'm sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, what I don't know is more scary than what I know. And so what I would suggest is just to take that first step. Oftentimes we have this tendency to compare ourselves to someone like you, Rearden, who's been doing this for so long, and oh my God, he's in such good shape, and how am I going to keep up? But instead, we forget that we started off with that one little thing. And had you met me 20 some years ago, I would have probably been lying down right now having this interview. I couldn't even sit in a chair this long. And I started off with very, very simple things. And that's where we need to start our journey. What is that one thing that I can do today that I can keep up long term? That one thing might even be reducing that teaspoon of sugar in my coffee. That one thing might be a 10-minute walk. And so why not start there? And once I've mastered that, just slowly start to build on. And we don't need so many hours to get the results that we want. Like you, many years ago, I used to also have 2 hours every single day to spend in the gym. I didn't have kids. I didn't have a mortgage. I didn't have anything to worry about. I just had me. And so I would do that hour of cardio and the hour of weights, and I could be there 5 days a week. And so I've had to adapt, though, over time to be able to respect my body, to be able to respect that I have pieces of bone missing in my spine, and that I also have kids and I have a life and I have other things that are just as important to me. And so learning to incorporate functional training, learning that your body is the machine, your body is the gym. You don't actually need equipment. You don't need to get into your car. You just need 15, 20 minutes. You need a mat, and maybe even do this in front of Netflix while you're there. Just make sure that you're establishing consistency. Are there days where I don't feel like training? Yes, all the time. And the way that I get over that is just to tell myself, you know what, Cher? You're just going to do 3 minutes. That's all. Just 3 minutes. That's all you have to do today. You're going to put on your shoes. You're going to put on your clothes. And it's only 3 minutes. And if you want to quit after 3 minutes because you're really not feeling it, you have full permission to do so. And guess what happens after I start those 3 minutes? All of a sudden I feel so good and I just want to continue. And that's how I've been able to motivate myself. But thinking about how I still have to finish, it's going to be 20 minutes and I have to shower and I have to do all these things, makes it so much more daunting. And so I recommend that if we're setting up to commit to daily walking and we want to get our 10,000 steps every single day, maybe that only commitment that we have to think in our mind is just, let me put on my coat. In Canada here, it's snowing right now as we're speaking. Just have to put on my coat, I have to put on my hat, and I just have to go outside. That's my only task. I just have to go outside. I don't have to think about my hour-long walk and how long that's going to take and what I have to do to get there and how hard it's going to be. I just have to think about putting on my coat. And so breaking it down like that into these small bite-sized pieces is a great way to get started. And remember, it's just about consistency and about flexibility and adaptability, and every single day will look different. But the win is in showing up. It's not about how much you do, it's the fact that you did it. And some days that means that you'll have to taper down a little bit. Other days you have so much energy to do it. And so just remember that that's always the one advice that you'll hear me say to you on the YouTube workouts is consistency drives results. And then we add the intensity. So you can find me on YouTube at Sherry Shaban Fitness. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook at Sherry Shaban Fitness. And then also if you want to reach out to me, it's sherry@sherryshaban.com. And I have a program coming up this spring. It's called Make Peace with Food. This is a program I've been working on for so many years, very dear to my heart. And it's about fixing our relationship with food where we can come to the place where food becomes emotionally neutral. I want to help people get to that place where they have released their weight and they're enjoying their life and enjoying their food. And then food is no longer that thing that's constantly controlling them. Instead, we control when we want to eat and how it's done.
And I will definitely put all of your links in the description box below, from your YouTube channel, your app, to that program coming out in the spring. People need to hear about this. People need to know about it because people are raring right now to get in shape. They're trying to figure out, how do I do it? And they're doing this method, that method, and most of it is fad, right? They do a keto, they do something just like a quick 30. It's not working out for them, right? We don't need something that's just going to be short term. We need something more long term, right? So the mindset of health and fitness is the long term, the journey of life, not just for 30 days, not just for a month. What do you need to do in order to change your life? And Sherry has all the magic for you to change that life, to change your circumstances, to change your habits, your fitness, your health, your wellness, all of it. Check her stuff out. The links again are in the description box below. And I want to thank you so much, Sherry, for coming on, sharing some of your time with us, and then helping us understand a little bit more about fitness and wellness.
Thank you so much, Rearden. I've loved this today.
All right, everyone. I'd like to thank you so much for watching that interview with Sherry and myself. As you can see, she's going to be someone who has been through the gauntlet, but she did not let the gauntlet take over. She said, I'm going to come out on top, and that is what she did. She came out on top. And now she's helping other people become the people they're supposed to be, rise to the top. We might start in a place where we are unsure of what we can accomplish. We might have a lot of difficulties in our life, and we might have a lot of uncertainties in what we do. No one wants to look foolish. So for example, if you go to the gym and you don't know how to adjust the seat, you're like, how do you adjust the seat? We're very self-conscious. Just because we have that self-consciousness, it doesn't mean that we have to shy away from it. We have all been beginners at some point or some aspect in our life. So when we're trying to get in shape, I can tell you most of the people who go to the gym, they want to see you do good. They want to see you be successful, to change your body. Because I would go into the gym and not talk to anyone. 3 months later, someone finally talks to me and they say, hey, you're making big progress, man. Kind of like, we didn't even talk before. So people are looking at what you're doing. Not that they're looking to ridicule you, they're looking to support you. They're seeing what you do. They're seeing what you don't do. But they're not there to ridicule you. They're not there to belittle you and make you feel bad. The gym community is a very supportive community. We're all there for one thing, betterment. How can we be better than the day before, than we were this morning? How can we be better? What do we need to do? What do we need to change? What do we need to adjust? How can we challenge ourselves? It's all a mindset thing. If you're ever at the gym and you're trying to do something and you have someone rooting you on, come on, you can do it. You can do it. Let's go one more. You're going to always find that you can do one more, that you can go another minute, that you can go another step. The brain is going to try to detract from that. But if we can figure out, well, this is what we need to focus on. This is how we focus on it. And this is how we act. Creating variety is something we talked about in the episode 2. Create the variety you need in order to make it fun. Working out might not be fun for everyone. Maybe people just don't like working out. You get sweaty, you're tired, maybe you're hungry after. Maybe it's not fun. For me, it's like if I'm leaving the gym and I'm like sweating and I'm crawling out because I feel like I'm going to be nauseous, that's a good workout. Now, you might say that I have lost it, but I have gained something else, health. I know I'm going to be able to do some amazing things when my grandkids are born. And this is like 30, 40 years from now. I'll be in my 70s. Do you think I can keep up with them? I want to keep up with them. They're not even born yet. But I know I need to be in that place mentally because I need to be able to protect them if they need to be protected. And I don't want an excuse saying I'm old, that I can't do something, I can't show up. Or for a doctor saying that I can't do something. If you have been told that you can't do something, you find someone who says that you can do something and that you have the power within you to change. Your circumstance is your circumstance to change, not someone else's circumstances to dictate. You get to choose that. So if you're in a place right now and you want to make some changes in your life, I recommend checking out Sherry. All her links are in the description box below. Go to reardenconcepts.com, get yourself some coaching, but get yourself some help. Invest in yourself. Understand the value, understand the quality, and understand that you are worth so much more than a dollar amount. And if you can't do it today, give yourself a task, a goal to invest in yourself, because we will invest in ourselves when it comes to certain things. But when it comes to health and fitness in our body, in our life, and our betterment, we're always a little bit shy. We're always a little bit nervous. We're all a little timid. Now, I want you to not be timid. I want you to take action. What actions can you take today? Go to Instagram, follow us, Sherry and Rearden Concepts. You're going to see, just by following us, a simple step, you're creating the right actions. So create those actions you need, small be it in the beginning, but big results later. My name is Michael Rearden. I'm a mindset coach. If you have any questions, you can email me coachinginsession@gmail.com, and I will see everyone on the next episode of Coaching in Session. Until then, everyone, take care.